Hi, my name is Frank Schaefer. I am an author and a commentator and a podcaster. And a few years ago, I had the fun of being on Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. She sent a crew here to my house and they recorded an interview. And I got to know her and then hung around down in her offices in New York and had the privilege of speaking to her writers and her crew. And I miss her show. And it occurred to me today that maybe something that she would want to talk about if she was still on the air in pretty acerbic Samantha Bee style, profanities included, would be the fact that we seem to be turning American foreign policy and military policy over to our billionaire class, as if somehow we had voted for them to direct our national affairs. One example jumps out. I'll put it this way. Am I the only person who thinks it's weird that Elon Musk can deny the use of his satellites to the Ukrainian military forces? He allows them for civilian use by the people of Ukraine, but he has denied their military use of the satellites. Now, you know, he is very pro-Putin in his actions, and he was hanging around at the Super Bowl with Rupert Murdoch, who runs Fox News, who has Tucker Carlson as an employee, who is actually shown on Russian propaganda TV more than Vladimir Putin is. They show Tucker just about every day on television saying something nasty about Ukraine and the United States and our government or Joe Biden. He is an ally of Russia. He's an ally of Putin. He is an ally of the invaders, the people who are abusing the Ukrainian people. He's on Putin's side. And that's awful. But imagine when a billionaire who is funded by the US government, Starlink, SpaceX, Tesla, having gotten billions in subsidies, direct grants, research that they have borrowed and taken from our government and used, all kinds of ties with the US government, insinuating themselves into the US space program that has enormous ramifications for our defenses and our military, taking the side of Vladimir Putin and denying the satellites to the military when we, the United States, have elected a government that is helping to defeat Putin and stand for Ukraine as they defend us all against this murderous onslaught. Now, you know, back in World War II, there was a parallel. Henry Ford was an anti-Semite and pro-Nazi, as was the aviator and the inventor and the flyer Lindbergh. America had a huge fifth column of pro-Nazi, pro-fascist people that sort of evaporated into the twilight zone after Pearl Harbor and shut the hell up for a while. But before that, were against intervention in Europe on the side of the United Kingdom. They were standing up for the Nazis. They were anti-Semitic. They would have gladly welcomed the Holocaust to the shores of the United States if we had been rounding up Jews in this country in exactly the same way that the Germans did, backed by the Lutheran Church and others. And yet, when wartime came, Henry Ford's plants were turned into plants churning out military hardware, just like the rest of the American industrial base. And the pro-fascist, pro-Nazi American industrialists were not able to turn their pro-Nazi position into industrial policy. Ford was not able to tell the US government, you can't use my plants to build weapons, armored vehicles, tanks, and all the rest of it. We drew the line. We said, okay, you may be a billionaire, you may have influence, but you can't use your power and your money and your influence to derail US foreign policy. That's what Elon Musk is doing today. And if we allow this precedent to stand, and if the United States government takes this lying down and continues to fund Tesla with billions of dollars of subsidies, if we continue to that Starlink funding and purchases, and if we continue to fund SpaceX and use them as the kind of new fake NASA, insinuating themselves into the space program, we will have set a precedent. And that is that you can buy your way into dictating American foreign policy. Now, Rupert Murdoch has done that with Fox News, but at least he's not in the position to deny weapons to the Ukrainians. By denying the use of Starlink for their weapon systems, Elon Musk is now openly siding with Vladimir Putin. That's a terrible thing in itself. But even worse than that is the precedent we are setting by allowing a billionaire tech industrialist to buy his way into actually deforming US foreign policy, military policy, and working against the interests of NATO and the United States and freedom and Western democracy. It's no coincidence that he and Rupert Murdoch shared a box at the Super Bowl, any more than it's a coincidence that at the World Cup finals, Elon Musk was sitting there with the Saudis and these other despots from these Middle Eastern countries. These birds all like to flock together, the wealthy parading their power. In Saudi Arabia, it's the crown prince executing 80 people in a day as, quote, terrorists, when all they had done was protest against his misrule. In the United States, it's us blinking and nodding and looking the other way while Elon Musk insinuates himself. I have a solution. Nationalize Starlink right now and put it in service of US government interests and the American people. Cut off the ties with SpaceX and get back to NASA being NASA, not the private toy of this Mars-obsessed person we call Elon Musk. These are not playthings. These are our future, and they do not belong in the hands of our billionaire class. If you agree, please share this video. My name is Frank Schaefer. Thank you.